I've heard of a good saying about do it once and do it right, but if you screw up, do it twice and do it better.
I mean, that's a great way to start the show.
It's a tremendous way and stuff. But unfortunately, that doesn't work with the shaken baby.
Goodness.
Exactly. Well, everything leads to shaken baby in the end. Most people end up in a conversation where it ends up at Hitler. I end up at shaken baby.
Is that one of those time travel scenarios? You travel back in time to see, we could kill Hitler.
I don't know if it would be an alternate universe and stuff. I've heard about that thing. You know what the best thing I would have thought to do? Put him in art school. Because where else would you put a psychopath?
I mean, he could always go to Parsons School of Design in New York and then compete on Project Runway.
That's true, but I think he wanted that Vienna art school and stuff.
I know. But, I digress. I just said a possible hypothetical of what he could do. I've been Paul Paredes.
It's tremendous. Hey, we're learning about all the different memorabilia and stuff with him, his painting career.
Well, Carl, I suppose we should also start out by, introducing ourselves.
Exactly.
Why we're here.
Exactly.
I'll let you take it away.
So this is my name. Well, we got our sponsors right now. The first one is the military junta of Myanmar. No, I'm just kidding. This is 60 Minutes with Karl G. I have to say that full title so I don't get sued by CBS Viacom. But I got my friend here, Paul Paredes. I knew him before comedy and shit when I was just early into my living time here in Arizona. Before I had really adjusted. I was still a mook and shit. But you know what? We all grow and stuff.
Yes, I believe I met Carl shortly after the Super Bowl of 2015.
Yes, exactly.
I believe that was just about when I met Carl.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we all remember Schaefer, right?
Oh. Schaefer?
Tyler.
Oh, Tyler Schaefer, yes. Yes. Which we will cut out his name.
It's like, it's such a common name, no one will know.
But yeah. Remember him. I think he moved back to the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure he likes it there.
But this is not a character we need to bring up.
True, not with that. But, I mean, let's think of the likelihood wherever he's in a scenario, he somehow contacts, hey, what's Carl doing? Nah, it won't happen. But I get the whole thing, you don't want the bad juju and stuff to go along with it.
I'm going to tell a story about Tyler really quick. So one time, I was going over to Carl's house. Tyler, who also lives there, is sitting on the couch. And I remember saying, what is that smell? And he had left a plate of nachos under the couch for a month. And he did not seem to mind at all.
Not one bit, no.
That was my only Tyler story.
That's what you remember?
That's the one thing I remember.
I remember the one we had with him is when he left his sandwich bag out for a week. The one from Gino's. Well, he was the only one that went over there. I don't know what he was doing. Yeah. Or once when I learned not to leave half greens in my bong because I knew if I left that around, he would just smoke it without.
And this is the, modern day roommate problem,
They smoke your weed if you leave it out.
Well, I mean, when two worlds collide from, two entirely different places, drama ensues. You never know,
True, exactly. Well, it's more of a thing I thought. It's like, if you're going to get involved in it, you got to pitch in as well. Be part of the community.
Be a part of.
They also had those crazy Brazilians above that we went to their party once and it was pretty packed, and sometimes they took over that game room.
Oh, yeah. That was really fun, though. That was really fun because the pool was always popping.
It was a lot of the time. And, well, it would be when you'd see a lot of people there that you knew weren't residents of there.
Yeah, but at the time I was working on a system with this guy, Andre, who lived in the building. And he invited me to some of those pool parties, so it was kind of fun.
Oh, the ones they held?
Yeah, downstairs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for us, you just have to... Obviously, if you have a view of the pool, you could see that, but we didn't have it. We had one out northwest. Luckily, though, because we'd be able to see all the cars parked in front. It's like, a bunch of more cars parked out front than normal. I wonder what's going on. Well, it can't be all going to the leasing office for tours right now.
I would often hear like a like outside the window, if I recall.
Certain places, yeah.
And it would just be like so loud down there. Good times though. 2015, way before COVID.
That was also the place where I learned that when it rains in Arizona, all the bugs go to the first floor.
Yeah. They get, pushed out of the sewers.
Oh, they come from this. I thought they're within the walls and shit.
No. I'm 90% sure they just come from the sewers.
Okay, goddamn.
That's
them
right.
and Pennywise love the sewers. What the hell?
I mean, it's a clown's game.
Exactly with it. Well, I like being a glorified clown with this stand-up stuff. It's nice.
Speaking of stand-up, what made you want to get into stand-up, and when would you say you really got started? I
mean, I guess because I had done the performing arts theaters in high school. The last one I did was a musical, The Wedding Singer. And people told me, oh, you do good acting, you should do it. But I don't want to do none of that performance, hokey dokey, West Side Story, none of that.
There is a new West Side Story. I hear it just came out.
I heard, is it based on the old West Side Story, or did they change it up, the type of, like, it's now not the Jets and Sharks, it's now...
No, same story.
The
same
pharma
story.
companies.
New cast, slightly.
Vaccine side story. Pfizer, Moderna.
Right. There we go.
And
we get some of that. We get some of that modernity that we're looking for in the arts.
And the Johnson and Johnson.
Well, they don't recommend Johnson and Johnson right now.
Right now. What if I want to get the Sinovax from China, or the Sputnik vax?
I haven't heard a whole lot of information about them. I know that the Russian population seems to be okay with it.
They seem to be okay with a lot of things, just going along with it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it was worse back in my day. You don't know bullshit.
I can't do
talk. I'm just trying to think of all the Russian fighters I've heard and imitate them.
So for anybody who listens to this and hasn't seen Karl up close, he's wearing a full-body tracksuit.
Oh, yeah.
he looks similar to Vladimir Putin's youngest grandson, Karl Putin.
That's going to be a good role for me in the movies when they decide to make a biop on him.
And he actually is just an oil oligarch.
Exactly. The nephew itself, hey, that's awesome. I get to crash my own Lambos, too.
I mean, how about that Olympics money?
Oh, are you talking about when they had the Winter Olympics and they just did all that?
Wasn't it the Sochi Olympics that they just spent a ton of money on things that weren't real?
Yeah. Oh, and how here's something crazy I learned. I think it was 2 weeks after that is when the invasion of Crimea happened. Yep. So they did it as a whole distraction tactic.
And now this isn't over. Have you heard about this recently? Have you heard about this?
About the scandal that was going through with their doping?
No. Now, today is Friday, December 17th. Within the past month, apparently, and I don't want to get too political, but the Russians have, I guess, amassed some forces on the border of Ukraine. Right?
Wait, so is it where the Donbass region goes and where it was already taken?
I believe so.
Because I know that
it's
was
more as a threat of power, and it's supposed to threaten the United States' position for some reason.
Oh, because they're putting artillery along they're putting.
Well, they're us being allied with
Ukraine,
we're supposed to step in, but that's yet to be seen. We'll see Biden. 2022. We'll see.
That's true. Well, that's a whole NATO thing.
I know. Because we're going away from comedy. I'm getting too political.
But then we got Turkey jerking off Russia and shit because Erdogan's mad because apparently their currency lost 40% of its value in one day. Thank God you aren't Turkish. You'd probably want to go there and hang yourself inside your home if you had a lot of Turkish lira. I am glad I don't. Don't ever. Well, I mean, you could go to Turkey if you want to, but there's some nut jobs there.
I've never been to Turkey. My sister's been to Turkey. I know she'd been to Istanbul.
I like watching the Istanbul teams when they have to play each other because then the riot police have to all come for the football matches and they have to be by the tunnel each time. And anytime someone scores, you just see lighters, batteries, water bottles getting chucked.
Where's the vuvuzela these days?
Oh, most places ban those.
They've banned the vuvuzela.
Yeah,
I'm not a big footy fan.
Well, if it's in like South America or Africa, you still can. But there's like some places because of like the noise thing, they just, they'll restrict stuff. Like how they restrict people bringing in bags of a certain size if they're not clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole policy. It's to track down on the terrorists because they're afraid we're going to go to see Garth Brooks over at Chase Field and we're going to plant a bomb over by the second base bag.
Well, I'm not going to be involved in anything like that.
Well, I'm going to make sure that I'm nowhere near the Garth Brooks concert where it happened so I'm not suspected of it by the FBI.
Well, I mean, I feel like this is your digital trace. If anything, your confession to a premeditated... would you call it an attack? I'm going to call it an attack.
I've only done the planning stage.
Well, you're meditating on it.
Exactly. It's like maybe over time a different target will work out well. Like it was just an example with it suspecting me.
Not to change gears on you, but speaking of local shows, I'm not a comedian, but I've been to a lot of local shows. What are some of your favorite rooms to do 5 to 7 minutes in?
You mean kind of? Is it more of like an audience thing, or just
give your top 3, top 5, whatever you wanna comment on? But this is local comedy, so there's like different regions of the city that just have different pockets and different.
I guess I'll make
groups,
3 in particular. Improv Mania out in Chandler, just as the first place I started. It's very close you are to the audience, so it's like, hey, there's much more of an interaction there. Whereas then the next one would be Bridget's probably, because it's usually you're close together in that one.
It's our Phoenix crowd.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's also, we have, 7, 8 comics. It's pretty set who it's going to be. Done. And done before 9. It doesn't drag on or anything, and that's the perfect way to do it. You just have that set, you're going to see, boom, boom, boom. And Sean gives good opportunities to people like he gave it to me. He gave it to Frank.
All of which are still on the scene. Everyone's still...
No, that's the thing, and that's something
around.
I've learned from people. Well, that's why I'm not trying to, peak myself too early, because I think some people, they want to just do book shows immediately.
It's a pace. You're not gonna be perfect. Your first.
It is, but I've heard from more experienced people, I guess, that they see those people that when they started jumped early into those shows, but now they're no longer in it because they couldn't keep pace with what they were doing.
I can definitely relate to that in business,
Exactly, with your business, you can't just create a whole Fortune 500 company in one day. You got to build it from a small firm up, either a sole proprietorship or an LLC or some small group, a limited liability company.
As a small business owner here in Arizona and a local farmer, I would say that absolutely, you gotta it's a long game. Just like with anything, you gotta nurture it.
That's the right way to think about it, because that whole thing of being impatient, it's you want it now and stuff.
Well, what are you doing? You're nurturing in an entertainment sense somebody's night out, and you're hoping that in the future they might want to have that same night out because they had such a good time, right?
Yeah. They enjoy your show, and something I've had to learn to do over time, because it feels kind of awkward when people come up to you don't know, and it's oh, you did so well and stuff. And what I've had to before, I was kind of just I didn't know what to say, but now I've kind of learned to say I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Absolutely, because that's the whole purpose for everyone to be there, is just so one person can have that little chuckle, or just a breather for the night. I don't know. Comedy for me is a nice break.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, the rooms, and just like how you're regular with Bridget's, there's people I meet at other places that are regulars and stuff, but they get to know the comics well, and they're kind of well integrated into it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's pretty an interesting scene. I'm sure the music scene's similar to that here.
Oh yeah.
Or you probably have bands. You probably have people who show up to a lot of these small bands, their performances.
Yep. I feel like the music scene's probably a little bit bigger, but same idea. You've got people promoting, come to the show, and the ones with the biggest local support end up they keep it going. And then the ones that just do it from the heart, they also keep it going. So those are the ones that the people that I see show up consistently time and time again. I see them having a good time consistently time and time again on stage. And so I feel like that positivity, the support, going and seeing other comics' shows and other comics' work, just because that they're on
like,
on
you'll
one
just
night.
see it. It's like it's not like you have to perform each time.
Or just as an example, like I've gone to multiple sets of some of the resident comics at Tickle Your Bone, outside of Tickle Your Bone, and if they hadn't shown up consistently, I don't think I would have gotten those opportunities outside of a comfortable setting to go to a new place and see them again. I was pleasantly surprised when it happened because the local comedy scene in Phoenix is very talented, is what I will say. Very talented.
It does, and I think it's a big part due to how this area is growing. Because I know you've been here longer than me. You've definitely seen the growth in this area.
Well, for those of you listening that don't know Karl and I, we both have family or are from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And then I'm from Chandler, Arizona, but have kind of had similar experiences as far as this growth factor, moving to California and then moving back around the same time Karl did. So we both have kind of seen Tempe, Phoenix, Chandler all change rapidly. And can relate with the densities in California.
All the semiconductor companies building.
But the population here is growing. The opportunities are growing. Every evening is another opportunity for either an open mic or a booked mic. And again, supporting each other on top of everything, I think is going to be. As comedians, I'm saying, just from the outside looking in, is going to be very beneficial to anybody who is trying to do this as a career and not just as a hobby.
Oh, big time, yeah. Because obviously, I think you said it before. It's to make it a career, you got to put in that that long time.
Yeah, and you have to think about it as a business. You lay your foundations for your business. You get all your permits and paperwork. Or for comics, I guess you get your chops in.
And I guess you spoke about supporting each other, and that's something good I like because it's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
It's not that, one of us is going to get laughs and the other can't.
But everyone wants to laugh on every set. That's the goal of the audience member, is just to be there to laugh at every set and to be, entertained by it for that little bit of time. And I think the most successful comics I've seen in town have always been engaging, intimate, relatable, and they add that positivity to the crowd that doesn't, every now and then you can get some aggressive slap back, let's just say, and granted, hecklers be damned. I would say slapping back at an audience member during a set will decrease your likability overall. I don't think I've ever been more uncomfortable than when a comic yells at an audience member. Most of the time when it happens, though, there's probably alcohol involved,
Oh, definitely.
or a drunk heckler.
Although the best I've seen is with Josh Harrison at Woodshed before.
Oh,
the first time I ever approached him, because it was some lady in the back corner area. She was kind of heckling, and it's when I realized you don't heckle someone with a mic because they could just talk over you.
Right.
Because he wasn't even hearing what she's saying, and so he's not even responding to what she's saying. He's just insulting her, and it was hilarious and stuff. He was just going with it, and it's okay, but he wasn't getting overly mad. I'm gonna go over there and hit you.
No. And I'm not accusing comics of being overly aggressive, but I am saying that I've definitely brought some newcomers to just being audience members, and they've made the mistake of either talking loudly or heckling by accident or responding to something. And
True.
I know that there's a time and a place for it, and I also can see when sometimes the audience doesn't really. They don't have the same background. They may only go to one comedy show a year, month, it may not be a regular thing for them. And so I'm just trying to think of it in a supportive sense. Everyone comes from different places, and so everyone responds differently.
Yeah, I guess some people think when they're getting roasted or such, they think it's like some criticism put up against them, but you're literally just say whatever to get people laugh. It's like when Josh Harrison said, because I was wearing like that jacket, you said the tracksuit jacket, and then a hat. He told me that I looked like an FBI sketch of a pedophile.
Oh, goodness.
And while some people may have taken offense to that, just because I know I'm not one of those people that's very touchy with kids, I had to laugh about it. It's like, I know he's not actually saying that about me, but he's saying how I look.
And I mean, comic to comic, bus balls, they do it all the time.
Yeah.
I was more talking about in the middle of a set, when an audience member starts getting in a fight with the comic. No one likes that. That's uncomfortable for people.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's that whole thing. You come to see the comic and such. Yeah.
I'm here for the entertainment. I'm here for the laughs.
Exactly. And it's like the audience isn't really experienced with the laughs, so just keep it. And I think it's the whole thing with responding. You only really do it if they're asking for some response. Like
right.
When they go up and like, how are we doing and stuff. And it's like, do we like this or something?
Am I inviting this crowd work?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are they actually trying to reach out to the crowd to get a response?
And for some comics, that's part of how they connect with the audience, which is perfectly okay.
I think that's really good when you can do that crowd work, connect with the audience, because then you can change it each set. You'll never have one that's the same because you'll have a different response from whoever it is.
Sometimes I've recently been seeing the deadpan response that just the audience member just does not have a clue. And
then that's when you have to it's like, are you really that shocked? Come on. You gotta egg them on a few times, and if they don't, just move on to someone else. Because obviously you don't want to be someone that's hounding someone for crowd work.
Truly.
Yeah, because I guess it's a very push and pull thing.
When you're preparing for these, you're only going up for 5-7 minutes, but how much are you actually preparing? Are you preparing 10-15 minutes and then cutting it down? How do you write? What's your personal little process? Do you go to a nice corner of the house? Do you pour a cup of tea? Do you have a method that you?
One I've started to do is Saturday night, because I've tried this thing where for the whole week when I do open mics, I'll do the same set just so I get practice through that. And I'll start Saturday night, put the jokes I want, and then Sunday evening I'll order them.
Yep.
Because that also gives me some time if I want to change one of those joke ideas that I have on there. And I know how long they'll last. Could I do this one 15, 30 seconds? Is this something that maybe takes a minute? So it's knowing that too. Plus, yeah, you kind of want to have a point you start at when you get the light. Because obviously you don't want to run the light. Because something I've done is my last 2 bits is when I start with the light.
Now, here's another thing that just as an audience member, what is the official meaning of the light?
Oh,
is it get off the stage, or is it to wrap it up? You got about a minute or two.
Yeah, you're in your last minute.
Because I've been to so many shows where I see someone hold a light up and then they go, "That's my time, goodbye," and they just immediately get off. And then the host will go, "Oh no, man, you had a minute or two. You could have kept going. You're fine." So I just wanted to get the official. It's you're almost done, but just finish up.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's you have a minute left and such. Because I know some people getting confused that they get the light with 2 minutes left, so they get off early when they actually had more time.
Do you think that's an experience thing, or do you think it's is it the diversity across the Phoenix area for how the timing works on every show?
It could be an experience thing, just because maybe when you're early on, and I think I observed this with myself, you don't know pacing as much. You don't know how long bits are going to take. So honestly, once you hit your last bit, if that's when you get the light, it's so long, I'm out.
Well, I mean, That's what the light's for, right?
I mean, it's experience and getting experience, but I know it's one of those things you can only do in front of other people. Because I can talk in front of a mirror doing it, but I'm not going to know how responses are.
Right. What's another thing that I've always wondered about comedy? Let's see. Going up on stage, the overall goal is, not always video media, but are you looking to get into more, TV, film, video, things like that in your future?
If the opportunities came for, let's say, small acting parts, oh yeah, definitely.
Well, not even just small acting parts. I mean, full on stage. You write a 30-minute, 40-minute, hour-long special. Carl Goldthorpe Netflix comedy special. Is that the goal?
So I had a thought for my first special. What I was going to do is do it at my high school reunion and have it the roast of American high school.
Okay, all right.
Just for the first one. I mean, for a normal one, I don't know. But that just had my thought. It's like, I could definitely do 30 minutes when I get back there in 2024.
It's real unfortunate with American high schools, though. I don't think you'll make it that far. They're all armed.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff. He's like, you never know when some kid's going to go off that day. You get your little Adam Lanza to come into school.
Is that the
Sandy Hook one?
Sandy Hook. Yeah, there was another school shooter recently whose parents were arrested and charged with manslaughter.
What was it, like Oxford High School or something?
Yeah, the Oxford High School shooter who, he had access to guns. And
oh, shit.
There was a number of, I guess, reasons why the court chose to charge the parents.
Yeah, like they probably did assist him in at least acquiring it.
It was they bought it for him.
Okay, then
he
yes,
he had access to it when they knew he was violent, and he I guess had a journal showing that people getting shot and blood and things like that. I heard it on NPR today. It was quite disturbing.
That makes sense and stuff.
Yep. But back to comedy.
Exactly with it. Hey.
Oh, Carl, are you vaccinated?
I definitely am. Yeah. Well, I remember that.
Are you Omicron vaccinated with a booster? It's okay to say no because I'm not yet, but I'm.
But my next doctor's appointment in February, I told them when I was last there in November that then I'll get the booster.
I mean, do what you got to do. I'm trying to get boosted tomorrow.
Oh, you're trying to get it straight away. Goddamn.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a able-bodied, able person to get one.
Well, I mean, luckily when I went to the doctors on Wednesday because I was feeling that chest pain, it turned out just to be inflammation and not COVID because I was afraid. It's like,
okay, as long as I've heard that you've got a COVID test and not sitting in front of a COVID unsafe.
It was a rapid test negative. Well, that was the whole thing I was worrying about Wednesday evening. But then once I got the negative, it's like, okay, I'm fine.
This is a great segue into the next thing I want to talk about. COVID changed everything. You started post-COVID.
Exactly.
So
I heard there's a lot less mics than there were before.
There is a lot less mics than there were before. The comedy scene was, I'm not going to say decimated. It was just there was no scene because there was nowhere to go. We weren't allowed to go to any bars for a year straight.
And I heard the Zoom mics weren't good because of the response, how it was.
I never tried a Zoom mic, but I commend those who do or who did it because they're trying to make it work. You know, they're making the effort, and regardless of the outcome, and regardless of how many Zoom meetings people are in and out of, it was still there was a period of time where we couldn't go out, and so that was the best we got.
Exactly, no real establishments. Oh, I remember for a while it was like I couldn't go to Mascadero's Tacos. It's like they were closed.
And for a full year, I heard more about Joe Exotic than I heard from any of my favorite comics in town. Which some of them I still haven't heard from.
Oh my goodness! Now you speak about him. They released another part on Netflix, I guess. Him and Bhagavan, Doc Antle and stuff.
I started the part 2, Tiger King part 2 with Carol Baskins. It starts with Carol Baskins, but I fell asleep because I'm a tired individual.
No, I can't blame you there. I actually hadn't been on that one because one thing I hadn't got to, which I finally finished the series, Cocaine Cowboys.
Oh, the one where they're flying planes?
Or not the planes, it was the speedboats.
Oh, the speedboats.
Yeah, because they'd get the drugs from South Central America, bring it up to, I don't think it was
Miami?
Key West, but it was some island that was off of it.
Yeah.
And then the speedboat would pick it up and then bring it in.
And then just take it to all the parties, I suppose, right?
Well, exactly. Well,
I'm not living Miami Vice lifestyle with kilos of cocaine.
I mean, it was estimated that they trafficked
like if we did, though,
75
right?
tons, but that was like what was reported. There may have been like more than 75 tons of it.
So when I'm looking at these illegal drug markets, I come from the marijuana industry. Arizona just surpassed $1 billion in a year for the marijuana industry, for the recreational marijuana industry. They say the black market is 10 times that of the legal market at any given time. I feel like cocaine is probably similar. What you see is probably only a fraction or the tip of the iceberg as to what's actually happening around us.
Oh yeah, the
illegal trades in general, I would say.
Yeah, the suppliers that have to try to get it into here.
Yeah. Well, just any of them. I'm just relating to Cocaine Cowboys there. They use the speedboats, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess the episode more brought up like their court case, how just chaotic it was because there were threats to witnesses. There were some witnesses dead. There were some that were bribed.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's the drug game. And living in a border state like Arizona, we hear every day.
We do. Well, I learned something. Apparently, this is a major hub for Filipinos being trafficked into the U.S.
That's a human trafficking thing?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Apparently, this is because, like the Western states, it's more expected for them to go there. So now, kind of inland.
Can you think of a joke about human trafficking? I'm just kidding. That's terrible. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, maybe you could think of it in a more unique way of human trafficking, not like a very vague thing, but. I'm trying to think of something petty to like say human traffic these kind of people.
It's such a hot topic, politically speaking. Hot.
It could be those people who are doing that shared their Spotify reel. We could traffic those people around the world. It's like, look, this person is good just for a body. If you need them to be there. And that relates a little bit into my job, human trafficking, though I haven't come across any human trafficking cases myself.
I also have not come across any human trafficking cases myself in my work.
It's not. Plus, I mean, even if we did, I couldn't do anything. I have to escalate it to some more serious level of investigation.
So, refresh us. For those of us who don't know what your occupation is and why you would bring up fraud or human trafficking.
Fraud. So I work in anti-money laundering services, how it is at a firm. And, I mean, the transaction monitoring, but it's very about pattern recognition. Like you see these P2P fintech accounts used by users, and it's like, okay, how is the money using? Where is it sourced from? Because you could see any linked payment source to there, like a bank or a card. You see the transactions through there if it's linked.
How much fraud do you stop a day, crime fighter Carl?
Honestly, I don't know if it knows so much fraud as like some illicit activities such as sending money to prisoners or like the ACH fraud.
So you're the one who stops all my transactions to Paco.
Exactly. He's out there at the Florence jail, damn it. Oh my God, now you're reminding me of one time when I had done briefly insurance sales and was talking to some old lady about like retirement plan, stuff like that. And she brought up how one of her sons was in Florence and stuff. And I didn't know it at the time because I was still hadn't known like beyond the Phoenix area what as much out there. And so I remember telling someone that about Florence. It's like, oh, Florence, he was definitely a violent offender or something.
Is that the violent jail? I don't know.
I think it's the more higher security. I know it's the one where they do the executions for the male prisoners there.
Oh.
The women, that one I think is Goodyear.
I know very little about the prison system here, except for that it's corrupt.
It is. Well,
I think the legal system overall in the United States is just systematically corrupt. So no, it's no one person. It's a conglomeration.
Is it
of
slow
things.
moving, or is it the processes in general?
I mean, I've been involved with a lot of like social equity projects across the country in STEM education and in the cannabis industry. There's a big one as of Tuesday. I believe there was 26 marijuana licenses going to social equity applicants. Over-policed peoples, different...
Yeah, like the areas they were from and stuff were more
right.
affected. Yeah, and I noticed that was a thing early on, which made sense. I also see some dispensaries, I've seen promos where I guess it's to expunge your record in case you have it.
So the reason they did that is a requirement to get those social equity licenses was you have to have a record. One of the requirements was to have a record and have it expunged through a Prop 207 expungement process. That was required by the law, voter approved law. But again, social equity side of it is, giving back to the people who were affected by those draconian laws, and having an all-inclusive market rather than a very exclusive limited license. I'm just going to throw the term out here, but a bunch of rich old white men owning all of it.
Exactly, because you don't want to consolidate into more the corporate side. You'd rather have just one person operate a few locations.
Not so much like that. I mean, the marijuana industry is consolidating. What I meant was, as far as equity goes, it's not just the sharing of the wealth, it's allowing the opportunities. And right now, everything has been written for business owners by the business owners to yield, more profits for themselves and keep regular folk.
Is it because it was such an infant industry that's why they kind of had the social equity licenses, you said?
Well, it was because of over-policing, and the law that was written had a measure for, expungement and the social equity licensing.
Oh, yeah. My thought is like that's the reason why they they had gotten it.
So social equity licensing came from that inequality, correct? But they used the voter-approved initiative to make the qualifications an over-policed area, zip code. Somebody had to have been arrested for marijuana crimes or paraphernalia crimes and had their record expunged.
Makes
and
sense.
And then they also have to meet 400% the poverty limit. They had to be under that in a 4-year,
okay.
3 out of 4 of their, income years had to be lower income.
Okay.
And so that was to curb, financial corruption there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then they also had to live within one of those zip codes that was reported by the state.
That makes total sense too, because you don't want some guy who's all the way.
But the way I'm going to relate all this back to comedy is that inclusion is important. Everyone should have access, and everyone should be allowed to go up on stage, race, color, creed, sexual orientation.
People definitely do, and that results in some very interesting sets.
Absolutely. I mean, we live in a diverse world, and I feel like all voices need to be heard, no matter who you are.
We obviously had an interesting one recently with Bridget's.
What does that mean?
DJ.
Oh, so
Double D.
So there was a comic recently. He's an underage comic.
Just say he looks like Double D from Ed, Edd and Eddy.
He does.
And he's wearing a trench coat.
A little bit. 19-year-old kid, good kid, comes in after contacting Sean to do a set. Sean's like, yeah, I give everybody a chance. Come on up. What we didn't know was that he was 19. It's a bar, so it's a 21 plus show. So the bartender was a little on edge from that. Like, okay, he can be here, but you got to stay in the cordoned off area and you can't order drinks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he came up. He did his time. I hear he does sets around town.
Okay.
And it turned into a really good night, I will be honest. But that's not the social equity I was necessarily talking about. I would say just, include everybody on your shows. If in the future, you're booking sets, just, give an equal opportunity to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sean always gives that initial opportunity, but those people that can't really...
So, I mean, I feel like just like with any auditions, you get to try out.
Oh, yeah,
and none of these shows are recorded. None of these shows are going to be reproduced. Every show is unique across town, and it's going to be unique based on who's there, You rarely will hear the same exact show 2 times unless it's intentional.
Yeah, like the same lineup and such.
Right. And even when you get the same lineup twice, you're not going to get the same show. Ever. Ever.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because people who are more experienced, they're better with changing it up and just remembering the bits off the top of their head.
Absolutely. And, there's... I've seen a number of comics that over the years, not once have they done the same set. They always write a new one. But then I also see some people that have been doing the same bit for 5+ years.
They do the same opening line. They do the same closing line.
Some of them I can repeat, verbatim. But like when they go on stage, it connects face to name, and I'm like, oh, I know this set. But it's kind of the same with like your favorite artists and your favorite musicians. You want to hear the hits. So
I guess that
it's worth it.
No, it's certainly.
But the difference that we're talking about with comedy, though, is you do have to, you change it up. You can't be complacent. You can't rest on your laurels. What was funny yesterday may not be funny today.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Some people use the same punchline for so long.
Yeah, but I will say fart jokes are always funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've always been farting and such.
And they always will be.
I wonder what it was like for the first person when they fart. Did they think they had the spirit inside of them?
I mean... would have been I guess everything has farted. Every living animal that eats, right?
But yeah, flatulence, yeah.
Flatulently?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to think how far this goes back. It goes to, what is it, a Paleosaurus or whatever one of those early human creatures is.
I feel like it came from, Neanderthals or something. That's me.
Probably around that. You just wonder, like, these first is like, what did
I
the
know
person
one thing.
experience this for the first time?
I'm definitely a Homo erectus. I'm just kidding. So I'm gay. That's why I said it was a funny gay joke.
I thought it would be like you get one erection.
Oh, I guess one. Yeah, how
well, not like one erect, but I mean like it only happens in one area. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna get erection in my dick and in my brain.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get that brain erections. Those are my number one goals in life.
Would that be considered a brain freeze, or would that be something else, a brain erection?
You keep bringing up these points. This is a full callback to my life yesterday. I was drinking Tropical Smoothie Cafe smoothies, and wouldn't you know it, took a suck of the straw, and boom, brain frozen, and I'm driving. Can you believe it?
You ready for accents? Oh, do you gotta head out soon?
No.
Oh no, we just keeping on the time and such.
I'm just keeping on the time and such. We're
Yeah, exactly. We have it
that 40-minute mark, 45-minute mark.
Oh yeah, we good with all that.
Good. Let's see. How would you say you prepare for a night of comedy?
Oh, have the
the night of you just got off work 5:00. The show starts. Hour, 2 hours. What are you doing in between? Are you pacing back and forth? Are you nervous? Are you excited? What's your
trying to remember the bits, at least the topic and such? Because
do you practice in the mirror?
I I did right at the beginning, but now it's more like I have the recording of me.
So there's no making it clap in the mirror?
No, there's no clap. Unless I have one of those side effects in a high-tech mirror which claps along.
Oh, well, I'm making it clap. The audience just can't tell right now.
We'll add it into the background if we could. No, we can't. We don't have those superpowers.
No. Oh, this is actually being video recorded, isn't it?
Exactly. With it.
I forgot about the video recording.
It's just for perspective with it to like show, but I have the sitting area, just the lounge, the big poster and shit. Did I ever tell you how I felt that fans at the UFC event were dumber than ones at NASCAR? The NASCAR ones just felt lazy dumb. The ones there, they felt aggressively dumb.
Aggressively dumb.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think too many people get it.
Do you fight? Do you do Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
I do not do Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Boxing? MMA? Any sort of fisticuffs?
No, I haven't done it. Well, because I like having the comedy and work going between those, and then on the weekend seeing my friends and such.
Yeah, well, me and my brothers used to fight quite a bit.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, when I did wrestling in high school, I'd kind of grapple because I realized it's like, if I do a takedown, people don't know what to do when they're on their back.
Haha. So you are a fighter. You just didn't mention it before.
Not an active one, if that's the way to put it. Definitely not an active one. Yeah. Maybe not even much of a striker. Maybe more of a grappler is a way to put it.
Carl the Grappler.
Exactly.
Comedian extraordinaire.
Did I ever tell you how I have this one bit that there's a wrestling move that requires you to stop a takedown by reaching in your opponent's asshole?
I mean, that's the main way that I do it.
But you want to know what it's aptly named?
Let's hear it.
The oil change.
Ah, the old oil change. Sounds like you're fisting buttocks.
It is. Well, it's like, because I had friends make it's like, it looks like you're just sweaty men hugging each other and stuff. It's like,
nope, this one's going right up the old oil change.
Make sure you don't get taken down. You grab their ass.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's like perfectly legal, because I was at first like, wait, that's actually allowed?
Now in the gay community, that's how we say hello.
Exactly. That's.
I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Instead of tapping that ass, you decide to give the finger.
You just go right for it. That's just how it goes.
Let the finger enter the dragon's lair.
I'm going to say this for the record. That is not how this goes. That's not how any of this goes. No, no, and no.
Unless you've met in one of those scenarios at like a dragon convention.
We're not having any of these what is it? Furry conventions here.
Oh, thank God. No.
We're not furries.
Actually, now that you said that, furries are the people we could human traffic. Do we really need them?
Well, wait, are they?
Because
they don't. But do they identify as human?
They're furries. They identify with their non-human anthropomorphic creature. Okay, people complain about, hey, let's stop trafficking animals around the world. Okay, let's do furries instead.
I mean, it is faux fur, right?
Oh yeah, it's fake.
It's all faux fur. There's no minks dying. There's no mink.
We're not killing a wild animal. We're killing a furry.
Sustainable agriculture and sustainable fashion, I think, are, two of the new waves that are coming out of the United States right now. That and comedy. Well, to wrap it up, just overall, who, what, when, where, and why. This podcast, Carl, is...
my little podcast YouTube show for the audience, because I ain't on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and shit. This is only YouTube, second biggest search engine in the world.
I guess I'm more just asking, what is the who, what, when, where, and why? I feel like the who is Carl, clearly, Carl Goldthorpe.
Exactly. Carl is with interesting people.
The what is, I guess, that.
Also kind of how I called it 60 Minutes with Karl G. It's like, you could talk about it, whatever is going around in the world.
And
whether it be what's in our local community or would it be going all the way in South Sudan.
I mean, we've got 15 minutes till we hit 60. Yeah. So we got some time left.
I mean, we don't have to hit it straight through. We could cut it as there if you had.
No, I don't have to go anywhere. What I'm trying to get at is, what's the next show? What's the format here? Beyond, just a casual conversation.
So it's like I guess when it's with comics more, it's learning about like the comics, but because you're involved in the scene so much, it like makes sense. You're around so many other comics.
I think that's another good point to make.
And also what they're like, they know well, like what you know well, and you spoke about the marijuana industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the comedy industry is the same. There's just a ton of players, all with their own material or their own flair. That
I was going to say
special.
their uniqueness that makes people stride to them. Because I mean, I guess with dispensaries and everything now, it's based off location, and maybe if there's a few within a close area, it's like, okay, what is the lower price for specifically?
Well, so that's a great point to make with comedy. Do you have to hit multiple shows in multiple areas in order to get that good spread for the audience, or how do you spread yourself throughout the valley to where you're getting exposure, but you're not being
do different venues? Oh, by God, yeah, just performing in different venues. Because if you're in the same venue, you're only going to be catered to that audience. Where if you go around the valley, different places, you're just going to encounter different types. Because I mean, Rick Bronson's House of Comedy is different than Golden Margarita, which is different than Bridget's Last Laugh, which is different than Improv Mania.
Yeah,
it's like they have a unique.
Most shows. I mean, I've only been to a few shows throughout the valley. Do most shows charge ticket prices, or are they mostly like open bar and they're the entertainment? What's the
If it's if the venue's exclusively for the comedy, then usually there's some type of cover, unless you're like participating, in which then it's just the whole drink minimum.
Right. And does it? I mean, every comedy show is essentially part of the business of the venue, right?
Yeah.
How does the business of comedy bleed into how you approach it?
Well, in that case, I guess it's the whole thing. I try to look at it from a booker's perspective, since they're the one that runs it. It's their business. How do they take it seriously? And as we've seen recently in our scene, people that get on the bad side of bookers get fucked. So just don't ever talk bad about bookers.
Yeah. That sounds like there's a story behind it. What does that mean?
It was some people. It was that podcast from some time ago. They had talked shit about some bookers. So at least on Thursdays, they're kind of canceled from the open mics that are like
goodness.
persona non grata at those places.
I see. Okay, well, tip your waitress and don't be rude to the guy who books the show, I guess.
Oh yeah. Actually, the people like waitresses stuff that are there, the waiters, slowly being friends with them is also something good to do.
It's a positive. I know for a fact that they are stressed out working those shows. When there's 30, 40 people who all want drinks and there's one bartender, I will say tip your bartenders.
No, I totally feel that as well. It's like so many people around, but that's also why I never get upset when I'm not able to be served by, was it not Rachel at Bridget's?
Oh,
Rachel's,
Megan's
Megan.
Great. No,
okay.
she is at every table getting those drinks out, getting that food ready. And that's a good spot though, because it's a free show. They only make their money on the drinks and the food.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the thought is with that, when you have those shows that are free to watch, the thought is you're getting people that wouldn't normally come there to show up and pay.
Right. I always, make it a point to get my dinner at least there. And it's just because the food is good, drinks are good, and I want to be able to, give back to the waitress who I know is, hosting waitress. I don't know the word. Bartender. She's a bartender.
Bartender.
And she takes care of everybody in that bar every Tuesday night.
Yeah. I mean, my system of tipping at least is $1 per item, including water if I get it. But that's at my bare minimum. Like, I'm not going to annoy you by talking to you a bunch and holding you back from other customers. Like,
and okay, so let's just keep the topic on about the scene. Let's see.
Stuff going into it. So it was like being friends with the kind of bartender stuff, because that just makes experience a little easier. Because I mean, if you're working there, you like being able to see someone like come in and you get to know them.
What about when you're away from the show, outside of the venue? It's the next day, next week, next month, or whatever. How do you interact off stage and more like online and digitally in order to either bring in an audience or connect and network with other comedians and or those bookers that we were just talking about?
I guess me personally, I like to... Oh, you got the call with it first.
Can we pause?
And we back now.
And we're back.
Exactly.
Sorry, I had a little bit of a interruption there.
He had to put a child into another man's car so he could drive off with it. If you saw the Amber Alert, you know who.
There wasn't any Amber Alerts. It was not any abductions. Period.
There's an old person tied inside the trunk of his car.
You leave Phyllis and Sandra out of it.
I would never kidnap them. I'd kidnap someone else from a nearby retirement home, not them.
Well, we got a lot of options here in Arizona.
Oh, and we do.
Capital of the, I don't know, everywhere? Don't we have
Well,
a lot
here
of
in Florida.
Here in Florida, yes.
Yeah, wasn't it generally places that are warmer? Because I guess something with older people, it's better for them to be in like a warmer climate because the cold gets to them more.
Gets right to them, goes to the bones.
Exactly. I don't know how those old people in Green Bay, Wisconsin deal with it.
All I know is my car, once it hits 39 degrees, it goes ding, ding, ding. It's 39 degrees on my dashboard.
Tries to tell you what's going on.
That's what I said, and I'll say it again.
39 degrees is when it starts making that noise. I learned from going to Denver a few winters ago why definitely I should live here and not there. Because the snow is annoying to deal with.
Is Denver the mile high city?
Yeah. Well, there's certain points that are mile high. To be honest, you like go a little into it.
That's one of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think like the city itself where just at its level.
I recall going to Denver, the Capitol building, and standing on a pendant that said it was the mile high marker. And then I stood on another one that's slightly down a little ways, and that was the corrected one. Okay. And there's another one on the steps that was also a corrected one. I feel like this is a thing for them.
I think that has something to do with tectonic plates.
Well, or sea level rise and fall.
True, that is.
So it's different.
That's true. As the sea level rises, it changes if they're mile high.
And have you heard about Antarctica? Our Antarctica doomsday coming up?
It's coming up.
The ice shelf may melt.
I heard that it's like a big part of it's going to shatter.
Raise the sea by feet instead of inches.
By feet, goddamn. Well, sorry, Miami, you're gone.
Miami. I remember back in the day, I would listen to Will Smith raps, and one of his raps was the song Miami. It's a club hit. You know, who doesn't love a good Will Smith club hit?
Miami is our little Ibiza in America.
Oh, yeah. You know, I say Ibiza. Because, you know, the Z's are THs, aren't they? Ibiza.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's made for Miami people fleeing from Cuba, old Jewish people from New York, and island boys.
Do you have any old Jewish relatives that are a part of the Jewish comedy scene in San Francisco?
No. My last grandparent died in the end of November.
Well, I'm
out of grandparents now.
I shouldn't have said that one.
Well, she was the one who lived the longest, so 101. She did her time.
Oh, a centennial. Does that mean that your chances for being a centennial are high?
Possibly, though I don't know if I'll make past 80, but I'd be fine.
Do you think it was a Mediterranean diet that kept her healthy so long?
No, I think it was because she was frugal because when she was like a teenager, the Great Depression was happening.
Yes.
She was born in 1920. So she just got to a point where she wasn't big on consuming.
Did you call her Bubala or Booby?
No, Grandma Millie.
Oh, Grandma Millie. Well, R.I.P. Grandma Millie.
Exactly with it. Well, now her head is with Johns Hopkins University being studied.
Fantastic.
Exactly. Well, when she had been living in Maryland, they had been started it there for an aging thing. So yeah, they're gonna really be able to see uh, just the aging process now that they have hold of her brain.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, we all want to age healthier, and I'm glad Grandma Goldthorpe was able to assist with that.
Oh yeah, and I just think like in general, it's I rather have my body go to something like science or like just the donor thing. It's like just use it. However, what do I care? I don't need to be plotted.
Take my heart. Take my brains. Take my kidneys.
I hate to say it, but if I actually had to have a funeral, I would want people to roast me.
Take my liver.
Take it. That would be a great video to present to the audience at my funeral, a video I created.
Do it now and then put it in your legal last will and testament as a video archive.
Take my organs.
Take my organs. This is my second form of consent. My first form was on my ID from the local DMV, or MVD as we say here in Arizona.
And that's the DOT, the Department of Transportation.
The ADOT?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to go to the MVD in order to get your...
Oh, the Motor Vehicle Division.
Yes, in order to get the old license.
Okay, that makes sense, because the Department of Transportation is probably just the whole overview of it.
Correct.
And the division, which we get to go to as citizens here.
Now, I do enjoy being a citizen. I do enjoy voting. Voting is one thing that I do not take for granted. I think it's a very important thing to get out and vote.
No, definitely true. I have my, what is it, like the voter registration card in my wallet.
Well, as long as you participate in your local elections and participate in,
That's why I heard corruption really is rampant at like local levels. Because did you hear about in Chandler, maybe not as much as corruption, but there was some lady at one of those public school board meetings that blamed stuff on the Jews and such.
I did hear some anti-Semitic rhetoric, and I heard it was a trend that the Chandler City Council has on multiple occasions had happen.
Oh, it was the city. I thought it was a school board kind of thing.
Oh, was it a school board?
That's what I thought it was.
Well, I know that there was like the head of the KKK lived in Chandler also and was recently arrested.
Wait, what the fuck?
I swear to God, I'm not joking. Chandler, oddly, happens to be a hot spot for these fucking neo-Nazis.
Well, let's check that right now. Chandler Klansman arrested. Klansman arrested. And we will put this on the screen. I guess I should put Chandler, Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Or white supremacist. Are you searching news articles? Here it is.
I was just remembering the lady at the school board meeting who it's like if you want to know who's to blame, it's the Jews.
Yeah, I saw the picture of her standing in front of the council people. But yeah, again, not terribly surprised having grown up here. That there was a little bit of racism.
There was some
a little bit of anti-Semitism.
Well, I'm sure before it became more integrated in here, because now with all those semiconductor companies, all the Indian people are moving in.
Well, the semiconductor company, Taiwanese Semiconductor.
Oh, I was also thinking Intel. They're doing theirs.
That's one of them. There's the North Phoenix corridor. That's and then there's the $20 billion expansion of the Chandler Intel facility or something like that.
Yeah,
some huge number. Is it 20 billion or 2 billion?
I think I heard they were doing $4 or 6 billion on the facility. Yeah. At least through the federal government. I don't know if the state's doing anything different.
Well, there's a lot of really cool things happening in, STEM education, STEM learning, STEM careers. I highly recommend, anybody listening to get involved in your, local STEM education and STEM careers.
But I guess in that case, would you say... I mean, obviously, STEM's not made for everyone, but everyone should look to specialize. Like, for me, it was definitely more the economics and statistics area. Like, you need me to get that stuff done, or finance, like, that's better for me.
If you want me to analyze a spreadsheet, you better believe I can do it.
Oh, yeah, like, doing all that. I mean, yours is probably more integral, like, the stuff you learn. I've kind of just learned basic stuff on how to, like, do a pivot table, or just to get at whatever variables I'm trying to get visualized.
Well, I know here in the United States, with supply chains dwindling, we have to come up with innovative ways of manufacturing everything.
I heard the reason the supply chain thing is happening is because of cargo containers. There being some low supply of those.
Cargo containers, limited ports of entry, a lot of backup, and COVID really decimated the fragile, supply chain ecosystem. So I think as Americans, in order for us to be successful in the next 10 years, we're going to have to learn to make things here in the United States.
Well, that's why I heard
from
like
renewable
those
materials.
Like the few companies that make, let's say, like boots or just like outdoors gear that are in the United States, they had an advantage during the whole pandemic because they didn't have to source their resources from abroad.
Well, I hear yes, that's one of the bigger, the U.S. government's actually paying companies to, expand on their in-house and local productions. One of the coolest projects I've heard of is using mushroom textiles made from mushroom or mycelial, fungus.
Does it work as a textile because of, I guess, the makeup of the fungi, how the organism?
It almost, because mycelium weaves in and creates a net web like structure that then gains mass as it grows. They're able to dry it out and then make it like the same consistency and strength as like leather, and so it's like a faux leather substitute. And they're doing it just by flattening it and drying it.
But that's really good because that's obviously an alternative material.
Yeah, and it requires maybe a liter of water to grow, that textile, whereas it probably takes, how many gallons does it take to feed a cow or allow a cow to drink every year?
Yeah, I was going to say because the whole thing with the cow, it's how much they have to consume over their lifetime.
Right, and so, that we're looking at sustainability here, cutting greenhouse gases from like methane excretions from cows, and there is no limit to how much fungi can grow as long as it has a stable food source.
Do you see that as kind of the growing market now, the whole fungi?
I do. I have a mushroom company myself, Polypore Mushrooms.
Oh, hell yeah.
The reason I bring that up is I sponsor Tickle Your Bone comedy on Tuesday nights at Bridget's Last Laugh.
Hell yeah.
We try to make a mention of that on all of our posts. And, we put some of the digital backbone into that show as far as like the booking emails, the weekly promotions, and some monthly promo videos for our resident comics. We give them a whole media kit.
We'll say Polypores is an honorary sponsor of the show. You're not going to be lined up in our ad read with the military junta of Myanmar. Which
is quite all right. I'll give a shameless plug to myself right now, Polypore Mushrooms. Feel free to look us up, Polypores, at Polypores on Instagram, and polypore.com.
I could put the social media credentials and any other links.
Well, we like to make little jokes about our fun guys at different comedy shows, and if you are in the market for functional mushrooms such as lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi, cordyceps.
Now that you said that about the fungi, you're reminding me about the guy who goes by Fun Guy Vibes.
Yeah, there's a lot of little mushroom puns in the fungus community.
I know, but there's a comic who literally writes his name as Fun Guy Vibes.
I'm about it. I'm about anything fungi related.
His name is Corey, but he goes by Fun Guy Vibes.
Well, Corey Fun Guy Vibes, comedian. You got my vote for comedian of the day. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap us all up.
Exactly, learning
I
about the mushrooms and
look
shit.
forward to seeing more comedian Karl Goldthorpe across the valley and national stages soon.
I am. I'm trying to integrate more doing voices and stuff because I've learned from other comics. Apparently, that's at least for them. That's what gets them. So maybe if I see it's a mainly
Karl,
comic
I've
room.
seen your sets. Just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to be very successful. You have such good stage presence, and you really do, connect with the audience, and you bring them into your world. And if you keep doing that, I think you're going to be very successful and bring a lot of joy across these Phoenix stages.
Exactly. Slow, steady growth because we're thinking long term.
Long
We don't
term.
want to die and fizzle out like Enron and Arthur Anderson.
Absolutely.
Never once again.
Absolutely.
So that's been good with me. It was me with Paul on here, with Karl G as I go by. And should we lead off with saying anything else? Or
just in these trying times, thoughts and prayers, actions speak louder than words, and just be kind to your fellow man is all I got to say.
Exactly. Also, pay more attention to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Oh, yeah, her too.
Exactly, that crazy lady. We were talking about human trafficking earlier. See? Perfect. We found a way to go full circle.
Full circle.
Later.